So whose wife is she? It's a bizarre question, not to mention steeped in patriarchy and misogyny, as though this woman's only defining characteristics are her marriages, all 7 of them, not to mention her childlessness. And what's resurrection got to do with it? Well, from the perspective of the Sadducees, nothing. Resurrection is made up. There's no evidence for it in the Torah, the first 5 books of Moses, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, which they hold as canon, as scripture. And so therefore it's irrelevant, unless we can use it to trap Jesus. And so the Sadducees fire away with their contrived scenario and bizarre question based on the historical practice of levirate marriage, as described in Deuteronomy 25, by which a man's brother was obligated to marry his widow if he died childless, as a means of carrying on the family name and caring for the widow. Now, here's a fun tangential fact about levirate marriage, which we don't talk about enough or at all. If a man's brother decides not to marry his dead brother's wife, then the wife gets to publicly shame him by pulling his sandal off his foot and spitting in his face. Deuteronomy 25:9, look it up. In the case of the Sadducees' made-up scenario, each brother obliges, no spitting required, and each brother in turn dies childless, the poor unnamed widow outliving them all. And so in the resurrection, which mind you they don't even believe in, whose wife will she be? As though even in death, still she is defined only by her husbands, all 7 of them. In classic Jesus fashion, he doesn't exactly answer the Sadducees' question directly. Instead, he offers his own bold assertion and a surprising plot twist. Harkening back to the story of the burning bush, in one of the books the Sadducees do hold as authoritative, in which God reveals God's identity to Moses. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Not I was, but I am. For God is not God of the dead, but of the living, for to God all of them are alive. The Sadducees ask a bizarre, hypothetical question about a resurrection they don't even believe in, purely to try to trap Jesus. And I doubt they actually care what happens about this hypothetical, widowed, vulnerable woman after death any more than they would or would not care about her during life. But Jesus redirects their focus. As one biblical scholar extrapolates, God is a God of the living, and the living are hungry, thirsty, exploited, homeless, abused, overworked, out of work, lonely, despairing, addicted. As though to say, why spend so much time worrying about hypotheticals in the future at the expense of overlooking or neglecting present realities here and now? Or why spend so much money building, a gaudy, gilded ballroom while people's SNAP benefits hang in limbo and families wonder not so much about what's for dinner as whether they can afford to eat? God is a God of the living, Jesus reminds them, and God cares deeply about the living here and now. And this woman is not anyone's wife, but a child of God, a child of the resurrection, whose worth depends not on any of her marriages or any of her relationships, but on her inherent belovedness. And so Jesus recalibrates their focus and aims to change their perspective. Now, I don't know if Jesus actually changed their minds about their theology of resurrection, but he certainly shut them up. Teacher, you have spoken well, some of the scribes answered, and no one dared to ask him another question. And more than that, he upends their expectations, which is what resurrection is really all about. Resurrection defies predictability and what we think is possible. We think we know how the story ends, one pastor writes. When people are killed and buried, they are dead. That is the end. The political power and show of the day, the Roman Empire had triumphed, but God, in the act of resurrecting Jesus, was proclaiming, I am not done. There is more, and this more will change everything you think and understand about life and how the world works. Resurrection defies predictability and upends our expectations. Resurrection comes to us out of the blue. The Sadducees' question presumes more of the same. Jesus' answer interrupts and subverts the status quo. What's resurrection got to do with it? Everything. Where the systems of this world trap us in death and more of the same, or define us by labels not of our own choosing, resurrection offers us God's promise. God is God of the living, and God cares deeply about the living who are sick and hungry, the living who are detained and alone, the living who are afraid and angry, the living who are, above all else, children of God, holy and deeply loved, worthy of dignity and care. On this first Sunday of Advent and throughout this season and beyond, we are invited to practice resurrection, a reality not confined to Easter alone, for every Sunday is a little Easter, and to notice the astonishing ways that God is at work, breaking into our reality in all of its brokenness and messiness, unexpected and mysterious, as the Advent hymn text puts it, upending our expectations of what is possible, catching us off guard, surprising us with grace, surrounding us with unimaginable love, offering us indescribable and certain hope, inviting us to interrupt the systems that have grappled our fellow siblings, showing up for life and liberation and wholeness for all. Resurrection, even in Advent, resurrection out of the blue.